Hi guys, my name is Ashton Graham. I am a sophomore transfer student at Clemson University. I did the bridge program last year, and I'm going to talk to you about my new student dialogue experience. My workshop was Where Do You Go to Church? And I chose that first because I figured it would be an awesome opportunity to talk about, where I go to church, which is New Spring, the coolest place ever. And I didn't really know what to expect when I was going into it, because I thought it was just going to be like a bunch of Christians and like a big, like almost like a Bible study dialogue group kind of thing. But I was wrong. When I got there, we got in, a big circle with our desks, and the guys who led it were they were really awesome. One guy actually who was leading it also goes to my church, and I didn't even know that until he shared that. And the guys were really great, and doing the icebreaker and just cutting the tension with the group, because you could tell that it was just kind of a bit awkward at first when everyone came in there. And so I believe when we got in there, it was a bit awkward at first, and then they started to ask questions, and then people started to get a little bit more comfortable. And throughout the whole experience, I do believe that our group had really good dialogue. There was not really one moment where it was really silent. Somebody in the group always had something to say, but usually it was the main 5 or 6 people who were the ones that spoke up every time and who had a lot to say. And you had, some who would speak up every now and then you'd have some who just wouldn't really talk at all. But for the most part, there was great dialogue that was just passed back and forth throughout our room. There was no, judgment or, well, what you believe is wrong. It was a really, just calm experience, and everybody was listening really well. The dynamics of the group, I'd have to say, was the majority of us were all Christians, and I'd say maybe 5 or 6 people were of agnostic belief, or they were, atheists or believed in something of another religion, not Catholicism or Judaism or anything like that. It was just Unitarianism or something like that. And but the majority of the group was Christians, which made me feel more comfortable to speak up about what I believed. But I was very, aware of the people that were around me, of the people who believe different things. One girl in there was believed in atheism, and I had never, growing up in a Christian home and going to church all my life, I had never really met one before. And I know it, they're people too, but I just never had, I heard about it and stuff, but I had never actually met a person who believed in that. So it was actually a good opportunity for me to talk back and forth with her, which was really cool. And I could tell after the dialogue, people started to ask questions more about Christianity, and which was really neat. So the dynamics of the group, majority were Christian, and then a lot of other people in there were different too. And like I said earlier, there was maybe 5 or 10 people who were the ones that were the designated speakers who always had something to say, probably me being one of them. And usually I'm not that open to talk in a group of tons of people like that, but our guys who were leading the group made it really just comfortable for us to speak up and talk to them. And it was just a really comfortable environment, and I felt okay to share my beliefs. And everyone was really open about it, and really didn't get judged for it. If anything, I got asked more questions about it, which was really cool. And I wanted to share how like Jesus has changed my life, and it was cool to like have people come up and ask me about it. And there were some quiet people in the group who I think just didn't feel comfortable with sharing, because I think some of them were fearful of being condemned for what they believed or judged, which, makes me kind of sad, because the whole point of that is to feel really comfortable, and, what stays in the room, like, stays in the room. And, it was just kind of sad that they didn't feel comfortable enough to open up. And, so that's why I'm hoping that, with whatever I shared, that really maybe like struck a chord in them somewhere, because I feel like my, responsibility as a Christian is to share, just, like I said, how Jesus has changed my life, and any way I can, not, beat people over the head with it. And so we had one part of the workshop where he pulled up an Excel chart and he put the different religions across the top part as, so it was like Christian, atheist, agnostic, Jewish, Catholic, Muslim. And so the whole point of that was to, when you hear about those religions or come in contact with people of those religions, what's your first thought that comes to mind? And so you had a bunch of people throwing up different words, and the whole point of that was at the end of it, you had to break down the wall of like religious discrimination. And so you had under Christian, like hypocrite, judgmental, hard-headed, and then you had under atheist, arrogant, intellectual, stubborn, and then the next, like it just went on. And so I can't speak for anybody else in the room who, is of a different religion, but when they were talking about the Christian part, I was just like, oh man, like, that's not true about Christians, or, okay, maybe that may be true, but, it kind of is like, kind of hurtful. And I'm sure that was hurtful to other people who believed in other things, but, the whole point of that was to break it down. And then it also made you aware of, okay, well, me as a Christian, I need to be aware of those things. And, because people who look at Christians, some of them are always like, yeah, well, they're a hypocrite or they're judgmental. So that made me more aware of how I live my life as a Christian every day, and to make sure that I'm just really showing the love of Christ with a bunch of different people, and because that's what it's all about. The role like I played in my group was just like spoke up a lot. I wasn't really expecting that, because I don't really speak up a lot in front of people about certain things, but I felt really comfortable to just speak out. And so I was probably one of those 5 to 10 voices that spoke up pretty much every time and always had something to say. But it was completely like relevant, or like a story that I had, or a story of when I had an encounter with somebody of another religion. And for the most part, like, I really enjoyed the dialogue experience. It taught me a lot about how there are other people out there who are different than me and who believe different things than me. And just being at a public university, that's something that you should be aware of. I do believe. And if anything, it made me just want to maybe like start new friendships with people who outside of my Christian bubble, so I can understand what they're coming from, and where they came from in life, and why they believe the things that they do. And then maybe from that standpoint, as a Christian, I will be able to just really sit down with them and maybe use that as a ministry opportunity for myself, because I just believe that my job as a Christian is to create disciples, like discipleship among other people, and I felt like that was a really good opportunity to do that, and I met a lot of awesome people in my dialogue group, and I think it's an awesome experience aside from learning how to do the e-portfolio. But if anything, the dialogue really taught me a lot, and I had a lot of fun.